So excited to welcome on to the podcast today a guy that I have known forever, back to the old Scano Elementary School days, and played sports all together growing up. We played basketball. You were Justin. I mean, if someone were to ask me, not to harken back on the glory of the high school days, but if someone were to ask me who were the top athletes in the Shenendehowa class of 2014, I mean, you were right up there with the Matt Drums and the Matt Hardys and the Jeremiah Smiths and all those people. You played growing up soccer, basketball. I think there was some football in there, and then baseball is kind of where you separated yourself. For as good as you were at all those other sports, it was baseball that you were the best at. And so there's so much that I want to talk to you about today, about your journey from Clifton Park to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And all the crazy things that you've done in between. So Justin, super excited to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. And don't forget that you're a pretty good athlete yourself. So don't cut yourself short.
I tried. I did lead the area in bloody noses. That was my my strong suit.
Bloody noses and bruised eyes. That's what I remember the most.
Exactly. That was one of my best qualities as an athlete. I just kind of want to start there with your childhood for a bit, because tell me if I'm wrong. I'm going to do some reaching here. For as good as you were at all of those sports, I kind of got the vibe that soccer was your passion. Like, that was your favorite thing. I feel like you were into that sport the most. It was the sport that you were the biggest fan of. It was the sport that you enjoyed the most. And that baseball, you just happened to be the best at. So that's kind of why you chose it. Am I right or wrong there?
Yeah, there was definitely a time when I was younger that soccer was definitely my favorite. I think growing up with my older brother being a soccer player, I just wanted to be like him, and that was soccer. And then I think there came a time where I realized, hey, I think I'm a lot better at baseball, and that kind of took over and consumed everything, and that's when it became my favorite. So
yeah, so I mean, some of those Shen athletes that I just named, like a Matt Drum, I think about him. He was a two-sport star. I mean, he played baseball and he played football and did them both quite well. At a school that was as big as ours, though, they kind of discouraged being a multi-sport athlete, because if you really wanted to stand out, you kind of really had to commit to one sport. So at what point did you kind of realize, I love all these sports, but I really think baseball can be the one to take me somewhere, and I have to go all in on that?
yeah, I don't know when I realized that. I'd say it's probably around freshman or sophomore year when I started talking to some colleges. But, I still played basketball for the town throughout high school, and, I was pretty active and, pick up football and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it was definitely around sophomore year, I would say, when it kind of stood out that, all right, baseball might be a little bit more of my future, and that should be my area of focus.
So what did you think your future was? Did you have a dream at that point yet about what you envisioned for the rest of your life?
No, no, gosh, no. I was just worried about trying to get a college scholarship. That's all I was looking at, and didn't know if that was something possible even. And I was fortunate to have that opportunity. And when I did that, I wasn't thinking about the future. I was just thinking about that, and here I am all these years later.
So the first college that you went to was Wake Forest, which is an ACC school down in North Carolina. Why did you choose that school?
That's just ACC competition in baseball is you can't beat it. ACC, SEC, those are the big baseball conferences, and mixing that with a top tier education, I was pretty excited, and that was when I had got that opportunity to go there. I was thrilled, and got to live it for a year, so it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, what happened there? Why didn't you stay? Because if you look at the stats from your freshman year at Wake Forest, I mean, you did really well. You did really well as a freshman, which you do really well as a freshman in ACC baseball. I mean, that's a really good sign about your future, but you chose to go away from that.
Yeah, just I'm kind of a homebody, and being in North Carolina, that's pretty far away. It didn't seem like the right fit for me. It was obviously an amazing academic school, amazing baseball competition. Got to meet some pretty cool people along the way. Got to play with a lot of guys who are in the major leagues now, and it just wasn't the right fit for me. And that was a very tough decision to leave, and made it, and everything worked out for the best after that. But it was definitely a tough decision, and took some time to realize that it probably wasn't just for me.
It's funny that you say you're a homebody, because I would fully agree in that assessment of you that you are, but here you are all around the country in the most remote places of the country. So
Yeah.
somehow making it work. So kudos to you. So you're at Binghamton for a couple years. At SUNY Binghamton, you have some success there, and then you get drafted in the 12th round by the Chicago White Sox. Were you expecting that?
Draft day is a crazy kind of thing. You talk to all the scouts and all the different people in the front offices leading up to the draft, and you're hearing 20 different things about when you might go, and the opportunities that you might have. And come draft day, it kind of seems like it's all out the window, and it's kind of a free for all. But I was hopeful I would have the opportunity. I wasn't sure if or when I would be, but it was pretty exciting, certainly, to have my name called on draft day.
Was there any hesitation about actually going? Because you can get drafted, but you don't have to go play if you don't want to. Because you still had college eligibility left, so you could still play. I remember at that time I was following it pretty closely, and just knowing you and your family and where you come from and how important academics are to you, I was thinking, like, I don't know if Justin's gonna go. I feel like school is really important to him. He wants to graduate, and he wants to have that degree ready if in case the baseball thing never works out. He has a good head on his shoulders, and he's smart. So what was that decision like for you at that moment?
Yeah, because I was a redshirt sophomore, technically, I still had some leverage if I went back for a redshirt junior year. But and it kind of was a tough decision. My best friends are at Binghamton, and I loved my experience there. It was a tough decision, and ultimately, my parents and I decided that this was going to be, a great opportunity, and I would have the opportunity to go back to school and finish my degree. I didn't know when I would get that done, but I knew at some point I would have that opportunity, and I ended up signing, and it wasn't an easy decision. I missed. I was watching all the Binghamton games that following year, thinking, "Oh man, this would be fun to be on the field with them." But it was just the right thing for me at that time. So we ended up making that decision.
That's so funny that you mentioned that, because I can relate, because I graduated a year early, so I was in the same situation as you. Whereas, like, the friends that I had in college, they were still in college, and here me and you are out in like random parts of the country working in less than ideal circumstances. And so what was that like for you, watching all of that happening, you not being able to be a part of it, and here you are out in the minor leagues, like trying to make a buck, doing all these weird things on buses, living in less than ideal circumstances?
Yeah, so I'll tell you this. My first location after I got drafted was a town called Great Falls, Montana. And it's pretty out there. It's like a small electric town, and the next biggest town is like 4 hours away, and that's like 50,000 people. So I'm on these buses in these remote parts of the country, and don't get me wrong, it's beautiful, but it's definitely not home, and it's definitely, you're meeting all these new people that are in the same situation as you. So you're getting used to knowing these guys, and it's just a little bit different than when you came from college, and you're living with everyone, you're a tight-knit group. So it was definitely adjustment, but it was fun to get to do that at least.
Did you get lonely at all?
No, not really lonely. That's actually the opposite of a minor league season. You live with the guys, you go to the field with them, you're there for 10, 12 hours a day, and then you go home with them. So there's not much alone time. But yeah, you definitely miss the people back home. You miss friends and family, and you miss just being home at times. But you kind of work through it, and everyone's going through the same thing, and you got each other there for that.
Now, when you say you play for 10, 12 hours a day and then you go home, where exactly are you living?
Yeah, so that's another thing about minor league baseball. our salaries aren't exactly high, to say the least, but there's a lot of times, different places, there's host families that put us up, and that's incredibly nice by these families, and I've always been fortunate to have really great families. But there's some places where we've had to get apartments, and we're packing 7-8 guys into a 2 or 3 bedroom just to try and save some money on some rent. And you're not always speaking the same language as those guys that are living with you. So the living situation in minor league baseball is a little unusual, but we make do with what we got.
I feel like people who don't really know sports have such an image in their minds about professional athletes like you, albeit not in the majors, living some glamorous life, about having all these amazing meals and people recognizing you everywhere you go, and everything is spoon-fed you, and you're making a lot of money, wearing designer clothes and all that stuff. But that was not life for you for the last several years.
Yeah, no, not at all. That's certainly, we're fortunate. The Dodgers are a great organization. I feel really fortunate to be with them, and they, we are lucky that we have some chefs with us. But that's lunch and dinner, and that's not everyday thing. And but not everybody has that in the minor leagues by any means. So I'm pretty lucky to be with them and have that opportunity.
Has there ever been a point in the last few years, especially early on, where you kind of looked around you and you're sleeping with like 7 guys in a room or something like that? I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. And then you think of, I think of one of our mutual friends, one of your really good friends, like a Nate Oliver, for example, who's probably out on Wall Street. I know he's in New York City, like making bank, doing some crazy thing. And several other people, like in that situation, who are out here really doing something with their lives, making a lot of money and doing all of these things. Have you ever, for a moment, because you're very capable of many things off of the baseball field, have you ever just been like, what am I doing this for? What
Yeah.
I can do other things.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that creeps into a lot of minor league guys. You get late in the season, your body's hurt, and you miss your family, you miss your loved ones, and you're always like, is this really what I want to do? And then, you kind of get into the game, and it's like, oh, I couldn't do anything else. And, no, that's kind of how it is. You see the people that are making some money and, living their lives, and it's like, oh, that sounds nice sometimes, but, this is kind of what we do. And, I always think, I always joke around with people and say, everyone I know does exactly what I do. So, it's funny that we all go through those battles sometimes.
Have you ever set a deadline for yourself? If I don't make the big leagues, which I imagine is the ultimate goal, if I don't make the big leagues by this date, I'm calling it quits.
I've never really set a date. Obviously I would like to get there as soon as possible. But no, I'm just going to keep going as long as I can. Obviously there's going to be a time where, it doesn't seem like a realistic possibility. I would have to seriously consider it. But, at this moment, I'd like to, give it my best shot and never think about it later in the road saying I didn't give it my best shot.
What is the support of your parents and your friends and your girlfriend, Meaghan? We'll deal with her in a couple of minutes. What has all that been like?
Oh, it's been amazing. My parents, they've been there since day one. They've kind of given me all the opportunities I have, and, I owe them the world. And, they're my biggest fans. They come as much as they can, even when I'm in remote places of the country. They, they'll stay up till 2 a.m. if I'm playing on the West Coast, watching or listening to every game, and then go to work the next morning. My brother's always doing the same. If I need to call him at 1 a.m, he'll pick up, and then he'll go to work at 7 a.m. So, and then obviously Meg's been amazing. She's out there as much as she can be with her busy schedule, and she was actually here this year when I got moved up, and she was a big help to, it was a nice support, because, going through 1 minute getting told you're going somewhere in a different part of the country, you pack all your stuff, you're leaving in a couple hours, is kind of a big news. So it's nice to have people around like that to help me out.
Speaking of that, that is something I wanted to ask you. with regard to that, or with when you got traded from the White Sox to the Dodgers organization, whenever I think of professional athletes, especially early on, I try to equate it to just like our own careers, whether it's Meaghan studying law or me in the media. Like, there's no other business besides sports where your boss is going to call you into his or her office or call you on the phone and say, hey, pack up your bags. Another company wants you, and you have absolutely no say in this. You're going. When you got traded from the White Sox to the Dodgers, A, what was that like? And B, what were you thinking when that happened?
Yeah. So I have to tell you, I was with my grandparents out in Cape Cod. I was just visiting them. And, I have a missed call from our farm director. And I'm thinking, what did our farm director want? That's kind of scary. I knew I didn't have a great season that year. So I was like, oh, no, is this a bad call? And, he kind of broke it right away. He said, I just want to let you know you've been traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I think at that point I went in shock. I was like, oh, I didn't know this was how this worked. And, in a matter of minutes, he's like, I'm going to hang up with you here soon. Someone from the Dodgers is going to reach out. And, in like 5 minutes, someone from the Dodgers had called me and saying, welcome to the Dodgers. But, I had absolutely no idea. This was part way into the off season. I wasn't really thinking about baseball at this point. And it was all a whirlwind in a matter of a couple of minutes there. So it is pretty crazy how fast that goes. And, there's people that get traded after games to teams and who come to the locker room and he starts telling us, sorry, I've been traded, guys, and you got to say your goodbyes. So it definitely goes fast.
That is so wild. Okay, so in 2018, when you got traded from the White Sox to the Dodgers, now the Dodgers are one of the most storied franchises in baseball. They are one of the best teams in baseball, have been one of the best teams, won a World Series last year, multiple World Series appearances in the last few years, all-stars and money like everywhere on that roster. So when you got traded to the Dodgers as a minor leaguer, is it like, I'm pumped to be joining this organization because of everything that comes with it, but they're so good up top that it's going to be that much harder for me to get to that team?
Yeah, that definitely runs through your mind, but I definitely have to say the Dodgers are known for developing players. So meaning they work with you extensively in very analytic, biomechanic advanced ways. And so everyone in the minor leagues kind of knows that. So getting traded to the Dodgers was super exciting for me. And I feel like I've had the opportunity to grow and, defensively, offensively, mentally. And I feel like I've been helped tremendously in my development by being with the Dodgers. So I have to say, I have to give them a lot of credit, and they've helped me immensely become a better baseball player.
So you were, in high school, you were a shortstop, which is the position usually reserved for the most athletic player on the field or the best player on the field, generally shortstop, center field. Then you moved to third base, right?
Yep.
And then
third base in college.
Third base in college, right. And then in the minor leagues, you then at some point transitioned to first base, right?
Yeah, I split the first year between third base and first base, and then pretty much have been at first base since. This year was pretty funny. I actually got a couple opportunities out in left field, which was pretty cool. But yeah, it's predominantly been first base for the last few years.
So why did you move to first?
That's I don't get to control everything, but there are immensely talented guys out there who, probably a little bit more fitting for third base, but obviously I want to do my best to be able to play wherever I can that, gives us opportunities. And we're just going to keep working at be the best defender I can be.
Now, I can't think of a person who has any less of an ego than you. Did that hurt at all for you to kind of come to grips with, I'm not as good as these five people at this position, and I have to move because of it?
Yeah, I obviously it's not something I'm thrilled about, but I just got to do my best to be the best first baseman I can be, and we do a lot of work at, first base, and infield. I'll take balls at shortstop and second base and third base. And, last year our coach was like, you got to be able to play all the positions. So I was like, that's pretty cool. And, we just keep working.
So another thing that I'm curious about, again, trying to equate it to the rest of us not playing professional sports. When you're early on in your career, I can think of, just to relate it to myself. When I worked at ESPN, I was amongst a group of several part-timers who were all vying for like one full-time position. And so we were all friends, we were all buddy-buddy, but there was like a bit of competition there for us. We were close, but at least maybe I looked at it that way. It's my competitive spirit. Like, we're close, but we're still kind of competitors competing for the same thing. In the minor leagues, there are so many minor league baseball players and so few rosters at the major league level. So I'm wondering what the workplace dynamic is like for you and your teammates who are trying to win games, who are trying to impress the big leagues and impress the scouts and put up good numbers and all that stuff. Like, what is the dynamic like working with other people who want the same thing as you?
Yeah, it's a pretty, it's funny. Everyone's different, but for the most part, everyone I've come across in minor league baseball has been pretty amazing in that everyone's rooting for each other.
Really?
That was one thing I realized when I got traded. You kind of look at the guys ahead and you're like, oh, I have to do better than these people. And, once I got traded, I realized, it's not the people ahead of me that matter. It's making myself the best baseball player I can be. And, you got to be the one to push yourself to the major leagues. It's not anyone else. So I think everyone kind of starts to learn that mentality as you progress from the rookie balls, that you don't have to look at everyone else's stats. It's, it's a matter of what you do yourself, and that's going to be how you progress.
Really? So if someone that you're right alongside, in the dugout every day gets called up before you just feel genuine happiness for that person and don't see it as a slight to you at all.
Yeah. You obviously are a little disappointed. You obviously want that call to be you, but, at the same time, these guys in the front office are there because they know what they're doing. And, the decisions they make are, usually the right ones. Obviously you want it to be you, but there's so many good guys out there and so many that work hard for this opportunity. You got to be pretty excited for them to get the opportunities when that arises.
Well, I mean, not to put any pressure on you, but if you keep raking at the plate like you are right now, I mean, that opportunity could arise for you. I mean, you had a ridiculous 2021 split between two teams. You ended the season, played 30 games, I think, for the Tulsa Drillers, which is the AA affiliate of the Dodgers. For those of you who don't know, goes AA, AAA, then the major leagues, and then you're on the Dodgers roster. And so you had a huge season, half a season for the AA team, and you just have a resume. You had a kind of a down year in 2018. There was no baseball at the minor league level in 2020. But other than that, like, you've been raking and you've been putting up really good numbers. Now, you're a first baseman. The stereotype about first baseman is you got to hit home runs and drive in a lot of runs. That's not really your game. You're a high average hitter, get on base, score runs, which is not the stereotypical first baseman, but it's a great way to play baseball. Small ball always wins. There'll always be a place for that. So you're raking, super pumped about this. What do you attribute all of this success at the plate to?
Well, thank you, first of all. And, I don't really know. I've always had really supportive, great baseball people around me, even since the time I was little, whether it was my dad or Coach Dempsey or,
yes,
moving up the ranks between South Troy and Shen baseball with Chris Adulu. I've always had people there. And, I have to say, when I got moved to the Dodgers, the hitting coaches there were just so advanced, and they're saying stuff about biomechanics that's going so far over my head that I'm like, whoa, slow down, explain this in real terms. And, I have to say I've had, numerous amazing hitting coaches in professional baseball that have kind have been able to make me learn so much about the swing and my swing, that I think I've just been able to keep growing as a hitter, and hopefully that can continue to the best I can.
The reason that I stopped playing baseball so long ago was not that I didn't like playing it anymore. It was that I struggle with failure. And baseball is a sport where failing 70% of the time is considered elite. I couldn't get past that. I couldn't deal with that. How do you deal with that?
Well, first of all, you were a great pitcher and you were getting 70% of people out.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's obviously a tough part of baseball. You got to make sure that you don't let it get to you. Everyone around you is going through the same thing. You just got to go up and do your best. You want to go up, have quality at bats. You're not going to get ahead every time, but you want to make hard contacts. You want to have good at bats. You want to have quality at bats. Work pitches, work counts, kind of stuff. And even if you're only getting a few hits every time, if you're doing those things, then you feel a lot better about your at bats. And there's going to be times you go through a lot worse than 3 for 10s, and then there's going to be the good times. So it's all about riding, not too high, not too low.
Has there ever been a point, this is something that I've talked about on the podcast several times, imposter syndrome, where young people especially are in a boardroom or are in a meeting or talking to some person or given some task where they're like, I'm not qualified for this. I feel out of place. I feel like I don't belong here. At any time in your pro baseball career, especially in the Dodgers organization, a world-class organization, have you ever just felt like, I don't belong here? What am I doing here? I'm just a kid from Clifton Park, New York, who didn't grow up in the Dominican Republic living and breathing baseball like I'm sure some of your teammates are.
Yeah, I've actually felt that a few different times in my career. I remember the first day I got to Wake Forest and I felt overwhelmed. These guys are bigger, faster, stronger than me. They hit the ball harder than me. They throw harder than me. And I was like, whoa, what am I doing here? And, you just kind of get better by playing with them. And, you kind of learn, okay, after time you learn, I realize you do fit in. But and then another time was the first day I got to pro ball. They flew us down to Arizona, and first day on the field, I'm hitting with 3 guys who are in 450-foot homers every time. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, these kids are so much better than me. And then they were on my team, and you kind of keep going. You're like, all right, I can play with these guys. So there's definitely an adjustment. Every level you go up, there's an adjustment. It's kind of like, all right, this is a higher level. Do I belong here? And, you kind of play some games and you're like, I definitely can play at this level. And, that's what kind of helps once you get that confidence too.
What do you think that you need to do, or what else do you think you need to prove in order to get a shot at the Dodgers?
You know what? I don't really know. I just know I got to keep hitting, play good defense. Just kind of go out and be the best version of me that I can be. Hopefully I can add a little bit strength this off season, maybe hit a couple more homers, and, hopefully I'll be able to keep that same swing that I was in, that groove that I was in last year, and, just continue off the 2021 season.
Is that stressful, living in so much uncertainty all the time? Like, you don't know when exactly you're going to report to camp. You don't know what team you're going to be with, what city you're going to be in. Like, what is that like?
Yeah, it's so stressful. You're just kind of living on edge all the time. And, there's always like trade deadlines, and then there's winter meetings, and there's always stuff. And it's like, am I going to get traded? And then you're like, okay, no, I'm not going to get traded. When am I showing up to spring training? You're in the middle of spring training. It's like, where am I going? And then you're playing in a season. You might be doing well or doing poorly. And you're like, am I going to be moving somewhere soon? So, there's a lot of stress, and I think I put a lot of that on my family members and Meaghan, so they deal with a lot of my stress.
When you're in, you spent a lot of time in Arizona, you were in Montana, you were in the earlier part of 2021 in Midland, Michigan, Tulsa, Oklahoma. You've been all around the country. Of all the places you've been, what is like the most remote or the worst part of the country that you've been that you're like, I can't believe I'm playing a baseball game here right now?
Oh, I have to say I'm kind of an outdoorsy person. I know
Yeah.
you know that. I have played in Missoula, Montana, which is
I hear great things about Missoula.
It is one of my favorite places I've ever been, but it is remote. The University of Montana is there, but we were always playing in the summer, so half the town isn't there. It's an amazing town, amazing outdoor. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. But it's out there. It's definitely remote. I've played all over the country, and there's different places, and there's definitely a story for each of the places I've played at, but I'll save you from that.
Oh no, I would love to hear a story. What is a story, like a moment where I can't believe that this is where my life is going right now?
Oh, let's see. So we were in I want to say it's Greenville, South Carolina. And, we drive to the game from our field, spend the day at the field, drive back to the hotel. Me and my roommate try and go out and get food after the game. We finish games at 10 o'clock. By the time you get back to the hotel, it's probably 11:30. Every restaurant's closed. Couldn't find a place to eat. So then we walk back to the hotel. We're staying at a Days Inn, and we get in there, and our beds are touching. And it's just like a really rundown motel. And, we're like holding hands as we're sleeping. And it's like, wow, we are in the minor leagues. So
you made it.
Yeah, but, hopefully, as you move up, the hotels get a little bit nicer. So hopefully we can keep doing that.
We've referenced it a few times. I mean, I know for a lot of people, it's a taboo subject, kind of like talking about money. I personally don't care. I like talking about kind of as a young person, personal finance and how to manage your money in a smart way. So, I mean, I know you got signing bonuses when you got drafted, and that can carry you for a while. But on a week-to-week basis, you're making a couple $100s a week for how long? I mean, like, I don't know how much you're making at this exact moment, but for a while there, just a couple $100 stipend a week, essentially, right?
Yeah. So actually, this year, 2021, minor league raised salary.
Hey now.
And yeah, I make I take home around $450, $500 a week. And that's, because I've moved up some levels, at the lower levels, it's even less.
And
that's with the salary increase. So yeah, it's definitely not, if you're looking to make money, I don't recommend minor league baseball, but we get by. You got to be smart with your money, save your meal money, be stingy with where you go out to eat.
Yeah. How much of your expenses are covered by the team versus how much are on you?
That's the one thing that's really nice. They take care of a lot of our food coverage. With the Dodgers, we're lucky we have the chefs, and they cook us lunch and dinner every day. And, we'll get meal money on the road, even though we have the chefs. So that's kind of part of our salary.
Okay.
And then, obviously when there's host families, that makes life a lot easier. It saves you a lot of money. But when you're looking for apartments and everything, that was on you. Next year in 2022 will be the first season that minor league will be covering. Your teams will cover your housing stipend.
Gotcha.
So that was the big news this off season. But for the most part, our expenses stay low in the season. So we do get to take home a lot of that.
I want to talk about your 2020 for a bit. Obviously a challenging time for all of us, but especially was for minor league baseball. I forget exactly what all the numbers were, but a significant number of teams were cut from minor league baseball entirely, which drastically reduces the player pool. When you first heard the rumors that might be a thing that was probably going to happen as a result of, maybe it was a long time coming, like COVID just kind of like changed a lot of things that were a long time coming. So maybe it was a long time coming, but, ultimately like the bottom was falling out of baseball and they needed to cut the teams at the bottom to try to save some money and expenses. So when all of that was happening, were you concerned that like I might be at the end of the road here?
Yeah, you definitely always have those thoughts that creep in when you hear rosters are getting cut. But I wasn't sure, and I was lucky. It seems to be a recurring theme. The Dodgers actually didn't cut very many guys, despite having to cut the rookie ball teams. So I felt lucky to be with them. And then a lot of teams weren't able to pay their guys during COVID, and we got a much smaller stipend than what we normally make, but we were actually getting a little bit of change. So I felt really fortunate during COVID to be able to have that, since I wasn't really going out and working and, able to bring home money.
Now, also in 2020, you had no baseball season, and you had a lot of time on your hands, and you decided to go back to school and finish out the degree that you left behind when you got drafted. Why did you decide to do that then?
Well, I guess COVID made it a lot easier, actually, by having all the remote classes. For me, I was taking one, maybe two classes each year, for the first few years to try and get a little bit closer. But once everything went online, I had all that time. I was like, this is something I want to take care of right now and get out of the way. And I look at my diploma sometimes. I'm like, yeah, it took me 7-8 years, but I got it now. So it was pretty exciting. So yeah, it was good to get that taken care of, and I don't have that hanging over my head anymore.
A degree in environmental economics. What exactly is that?
Yeah, so I was originally a biology major. I thought I wanted to be a marine biologist. Turns out labs with baseball aren't always a great mixture for time management. So I ended up changing my sophomore year to, I wasn't sure. Had taken a lot of economics courses, and I was like, do I go economics or do I stay in the environmental sciences? So I ended up doing it's under the environmental science department, environmental economics. It's kind of, the allocation of resources in regards to natural and renewable and non-renewable resources, trying to use them in a way that, there's economic profit, but as well as ensuring sustainability for the future. I really enjoy the sustainability aspect and the environmental science. So yeah, kind of a tree hugger, and I'm okay with that. And it's a lot of fun to, kind of learn that kind of stuff.
Are you into Bitcoin or cryptocurrency at all in terms of, because I know, and I hate to, I've been accused of being a crypto bro before, but I just find it all fascinating. It's mining Bitcoin and mining all these coins uses computers that use such high amounts of energy. The tree huggers like yourself are very critical of that. Where do you stand on this? Is it really that bad for the environment? Is it gonna get better? Are you even well educated on this? I don't know.
Yeah, you're definitely asking the wrong person. I don't know enough about cryptocurrency to give you a good answer about that. I wish I did. I wish I could give you a better answer, but that's definitely out of my area of expertise.
Okay, something for you to study this off season.
Yeah, I guess so.
I want to bring in your girlfriend now. I think she's right alongside you. You guys are in an apartment in Albany, which is where you are spending some of the off season. So, incredible backstory here as Meaghan gets set up. So, you guys started dating in high school at Shen. You go off to Wake Forest. Hi, Meaghan. You go off to Wake Forest. She goes off to school in Connecticut. Shout out to Hartford. Then you go to Binghamton. So now you guys are a little closer. Toward the end of her college life, she goes off to New Zealand, right? New Zealand for a couple months. Then you get drafted. You go out to Montana. You go to all these crazy places. You're going back and forth across the country. Meaghan moves to New York City, and then she's in Boston, now back in Albany. And now you guys are living together in Albany. You guys have been together through all of this, and it is absolute insanity. And anytime that I'm talking behind your guys' backs, it is, I can't believe Meaghan and Justin are still together. So to what do you guys attribute this ability to stay together despite all of this, because so many other people would have punted much earlier on.
Well, it's funny you say that because we always say that as well. We say we don't know how we're still together. I have to say that junior year was tough when she was abroad, and then she came back and I'm in Montana. So then she spent her last dime that she had and flew out to sea. But I don't know. She's been amazing through the whole minor league baseball thing. It's not an easy lifestyle for me, but especially not for spouses or girlfriends. So I put her through a lot, if she would like to comment on that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an excuse to see weird parts of the country, but spent a lot of time on very small airplanes going to very small airports. So it's been fun, but it's hard.
Yeah, the airport in Michigan where I was at this year had 3 gates. 3 gates. And only flew to Detroit, which we were only a 2-hour drive from. So Meg's been to some remote parts of the country.
How do you find the time to do this, Meaghan? Because I know you are you are more than just a baseball girlfriend here. You are very much doing your own thing, studying in school, working like a dog, also not making much money, I presume, as you're chasing a dream. How do you find the time to do all this?
Yeah, with COVID and remote school, it made it a little bit easier. I could go out and just do class while he was playing baseball. So that helped a little bit. But other than that, just vacation days and short weekend trips and, doing what I can to actually see him in person. But we talk on the phone a lot.
Yeah, a lot of phone calls and FaceTimes at early hours.
Yeah.
How many times, Meaghan, over the past years has Justin called you frantically and been like, my life has taken a turn for the worse here. I'm in a bad spot?
Actually, less than you would think. I feel like most of the panics come when we're in person, but yeah, he hasn't actually been that bad about it. I feel like he's pretty calm about baseball, shockingly, because if you know him, he's not calm about everything else. But yeah, I can't think of the trade, me being there when he got moved up was definitely a panic moment because I had to we were trying to see if I could go back to Oklahoma with him, and then I couldn't, and where I was going to go since I no longer had a person to see, a car or a place to stay.
She had just gotten there that day. She was supposed to stay a week. And, I came out after the first day. She's there after the first game and said, I think you're going to kill me, but then I'm going to Oklahoma. And, so, we were working out, getting her flights switched, working on my flights and packing up all my stuff. And, it was definitely some mayhem, and I had a little bit of guilt, to say the least.
It worked out, though. I flew to my parents' house and got to celebrate my little sister's 21st birthday. So,
I love that. I love that. Now, how emotionally invested are you, Meaghan, in Justin's baseball games? When he does something good, are you standing up and clapping? Or are you even watching? Let's be honest, because I don't know how you watch a AA baseball game.
Yeah, so it's a big joke because I think I'm less invested than the average girlfriend. I definitely, you can watch his box score on your phone or something. And if I'm sitting around doing homework and I see he's coming up to bat, I'll turn it on my computer for, the 3 minutes he's there. Because he plays 6 days a week. So I don't have, 3 hours, 6 days a week to dedicate to watching him play. But when I'm there, it's a lot of fun, and he doesn't like when I cheer, so I don't. But
don't let her fool you. She's very supportive of it. So I'm pretty grateful.
Baseball is not my favorite sport.
I know.
Transition dating him.
She has sat through a lot of baseball games. So
I remember when you went out to Montana for the first time, Meaghan, when Justin was playing there, and you're like, it was so random where I was. It was so cold and not fun at all. I can't believe he's doing this.
Yeah. So I had just gotten back from Australia. I actually had no money. I worked for 3 weeks before I could buy my plane ticket out to Montana. And it was not cold. It was 104 degrees.
Yeah, it was actually
Oh,
hot.
it was really
Yeah.
hot. Okay.
So
Yikes.
I also, was not feeling great about that. But his whole family was there. It ended up being a lot of fun. We got to go to Glacier National Park, which was amazing. So we make a trip out of it when we can.
So a stereotype about a lot of girlfriends or wives of professional athletes is that, they're gold diggers. They're like, they do nothing with their lives and they just ride the coattails of their man that's making a bunch of money playing pro ball. The Dodgers in Los Angeles, I imagine there's probably, not to stereotype, but I'm going to, I imagine there's probably a lot of wives and girlfriends of Dodgers players that are like nothing like you at all, Meaghan, that like you could not be farther from them. And I mean that in a good way. Like, it is good that you are not like them. If Justin ever makes it to the majors and you're there in the stands in Los Angeles and you have to sit with the other women associated with the team, like, do you think you'll fit in?
I've met a lot of girlfriends in my trips. We usually all sit together already with some of the host families and stuff. And I wouldn't say we have a ton in common, but I've met a lot of really nice girls and they're fun to sit in the game with and a lot better than going by myself. So I think it'd be fine. I can talk to just about anyone for 3 hours. So
that is true.
Work that happens.
That is true. That is one of your finest skills. I'll get you guys out of here on this. Justin, one thing that I forgot to ask you that I'm curious about. John Rooney is from our area. Like, Rooney's one of my favorite people on this planet. I spent a lot of summers with him at basketball camps. Couldn't be a nicer kid from Hoosick Valley, New York, which is God knows where in upstate New York. And now he's on your team. Like, you were in the same organization. I believe he might have been drafted by the Dodgers, whereas you were traded there. And then you guys are on the same team in Tulsa. What is that like?
Yeah, that was, it's funny because, in 2020, a lot of the local guys were working out together. And, John and I were both with the Dodgers. We said, well, we haven't played together yet, but that'd be a lot of fun to get to do that. And, this year, once I got moved up to AA, he was there. And, he's just such a great, goofy, funny, nice guy to be around that, it's just so much fun getting to play with them. And unfortunately, he was hurt for a lot of the 2021 season. So hopefully he comes back healthy next year. And, because it's so much fun getting to play with him. He's a goofball and then stops on the mound and such a fierce competitor.
Yeah.
So, I've been very lucky to have the opportunity to play with him.
Yeah, I mean, talk about an athlete. And then Brian Warczak was also in the organization, right? Where's he at?
So all three of us actually were in Tulsa for a little bit.
And you and Brian were teammates at Shen. That's crazy.
So, yeah. And, unfortunately, Brian's not with the Dodgers right now anymore.
Oh, okay.
He's hoping to get picked up by someone, which I'm sure he will. Hopefully it works out for the best for him.
Dang,
but yeah, crazy. All three of us, the three guys from the area, all and not only in the same organization, but we were all on the same team. So that was pretty unique. And,
man, the Clifton Park to LA pipeline, that's wild.
Yeah. So,
all right, Meaghan, now we'll get you out of here on this. Quick life update. You're in Albany. What's going on? You were in Boston. Now you're in Albany. What is happening here?
Yeah, so I'm in law school at Northeastern, which does the co-op program for law school too. So we do like our first year as a normal law school year. And then after that, every other semester is school or interning. So I did school over the summer. I'm interning with a judge right now, which has been really cool. Gotten to see a lot of crazy stuff. So then I'll go back to Boston to do class again in January. Gosh. So all over the place.
So much school. I don't know how you do it. I mean, like my two best friends in the world, Ben and Shannon, who will have just like a decade of school left between the two of them. And I have no idea how they're doing it. So all the respect in the world to you for doing that.
Yeah, they have a lot more than me. But
yeah, crazy. Well, Justin Yurchak, Meaghan Gray, thank you so much for joining me Meaghan, best of luck with everything that you're doing. I'll see you soon. Justin, best of luck with everything that you're doing. I hope you guys have had a great Thanksgiving, that you're going to have a great Christmas. Hopefully we can all see each other. I don't know where you guys are at, but I'll be home for a minute, so love to get together. Good luck with everything. Rooting for you. You've got a whole crew of people rooting for you. Biggest Tulsa Drillers fan out here. Best of luck. Thank you for joining me, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Troy.
you
Appreciate
too.
it. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you for watching today's episode of the Troy Farkas Show. If you would like more from me and my guests, head on over to thetroyfarkasshow.com for more podcasts, blogs, and videos. Be sure to drop a like on YouTube. You can subscribe to my channel. You can follow the show wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We would really appreciate it.